we have been receiving phone calls from all over Northern Ireland, and even as far away as the mainland. And a matter of fact, I had telephone calls from Australia. So obviously there's quite a few people out there who are very concerned. And we know there is some politicians trying to put the spin on it, and what's this got to do with victims? Why is victims sticking their nose into this? Well, let me tell you why victims are sticking their nose into this. It's quite simple. Because we paid the price to live free from fear, intimidation, murder, attempted murder. And all we're looking now is the opportunity to live in peace, to get on with our lives, and to help the people who have suffered, to help them spend whatever years they have left in some type of comfort. So I make no apology for saying what I'm saying. And, everybody else can make their political statements, do whatever they want, but there's nothing that I say that doesn't relate back to the victims. And I have to say, this agreement that they talk about in Hillsborough, we have lived and dealt with these people all our lives, and we know exactly what they're capable of. And anybody who is capable of murdering people out of their own families, out of their own community, never mind the other community, who are capable of taking people and hanging them from a tree, stabbing them 57 times, cutting their throat and booby-trapping their body, who is capable of going into a church hall, a gospel hall, while they were singing "Washed in the Blood of the Lamb," and they cut them down like dogs. Going to King's Mill, taking them out of a minibus, men who were coming home from doing a day's work, and lining them up against the side of it and executing them like dogs. How could you ever trust people who have got a mindset that believe they were justified in doing that? And that is the problem here, folks. And this is where the danger lies. These people still believe that if they need to go back to do that again, they have the legitimate right to do that. And that's all we ever asked from the start, was that Sinn Féin tell us that they no longer hold the right to use violence in the name of United Ireland. They've never told us that. And whenever we see headlines like we do here today in the different papers, although we don't need these papers to tell us these headlines, we know who created the situations in the Kavaki Road or the Armour Road or up in Ardoyne. The IRA did, along with Sinn Féin. They created them situations to create tension between the communities. Quite simple, to try and justify their actions of terrorism that was carried out during these parades, before these parades and after these parades. Sinn Féin now want the Orange Order to crawl on their bellies to ask permission, could they please walk down the Queen's Highway. The very highway that from the First World War our people have paid a high price to give people the right and the choice and the freedom to walk and go wherever they want. That's not what's happening. The gunmen now are trying to dictate to us. It's different if we're talking about walking through nationalist estates. We're not. We're talking about walking down the main roads. We're not talking about stopping minibuses or going into churches and murdering people or going into orange halls and murdering people. You know, money is a wonderful thing. It's something we never had much of and something we never asked for. But unfortunately, we seem to have a situation here now in Northern Ireland where money will solve all things. Money is now, it's the great medicine that's been created. It's like as if they found penicillin all over again. It is not a cure. Money may be a sweetener to quite a few people, but to the majority of the people in Northern Ireland, and especially the three Ulstermen and women, it will take a lot more money for them to get down onto their bellies and crawl to the people who have butchered their communities. Not only for this last 35 years, but right back to partition. We want to move on. We want to get on with our lives to be able to live in peace and harmony with our Roman Catholic neighbours, or with any other type of neighbours, no matter who they are. But we'll not be dictated to by terrorists. We don't need a compromise. We're only asking for what we're entitled to. And it's the same with the Orange Order, or even the Hibernians. I remember seeing the Hibernians walking down the main street in Cookstown. I got out to watch them, because I seen no different in what they were doing than what an Orange Man did. They were wearing collarettes, they were walking behind a band, they had banners. Now, it didn't offend me, but if I chose to be offended, of course I could be. But this is the problem. Sinn Féin choose to be offended, and as long as they choose to be offended, there is nothing that we can do about that, because if it's not parades, what will it be next? What will it be next that will offend them? The fact that you're called a Protestant? I'm sick to my back teeth of people threatening us with the bad old days, about going back to the bad old days. Who's going to take us back there? The very men that we're supposed to trust with our future. I would ask the people to catch themselves on who are talking about us going back to the bad old days, because the very men they're asking us to trust are the very men who would take us back to it.